Is Sinder Vtuber career truly over? Who knows? Hello there, 好，是的，Ame Gakita です。It has been quite a while since I last random chat, but if anyone who knows me that I tend to do live stream almost on a daily basis, I'm doing well, thank you. Now, the thing is, right, there is also a reason why I have to like drag this kind of topic for a bit long than usual, considering the amount of the mess that this whole thing happened, the amount of comment I have to go through, the number of documents I have to go through, the number of video I have to go through. There are actually quite a few that I have to go through 2 or 3 times because the voice emotion in it is really crazy that it affect me. That I have to take quite a while to look through like any issue on any end before I can give my point of view. Now that being said, I can also want people need to understand that today random chat is about Sinder, and if anyone who know about the VTuber scenario that happened around 2 weeks ago of this video being recorded, it's actually more so that the situation is more not just a mess, but it's a whole lot of rabbit hole that with a lot of things being dragged out. Now, that being said, we are not going to go around and say that we are going to attack anyone, nor are we defending anyone. It's more towards like putting up the skill and waiting the point of view statement, every single thing, and then we see like what could have been done better, as well as that we understand the full story, and we kind of like see like is there a way for her to come back, or is there ways to have everything settled. Now that being said, I don't wish anyone to start attacking anyone or say I'm just a fan-sitter. I will have my point of view, don't need to worry. And based off the skill is really leading against one side of the coin. But then again, most of the time looking at both sides of the coin does go a long way. And more so ever is that this whole audio start out from one simple tweet, almost so with a document attached. We are going to talk about Neroless, the artist, where trigger warning words such as manipulation, gaslighting, bully, as well as for some reason cheating, betrayal, and break of trust is came into play. Now it's really kind of like amazed me on how many end can a document come up with, and well, the cheating kind of like more so on another document, but when you have one simple document and came out as like she got tricked along the line. So the thing is, right, there is at the time having 2 sides of the coin. Some people believe that she was just trying to bring down Sinder, and there are also some people who believe that she is actually the victim. Now, on one end, I can see like the way the document when came out, maybe some of the screenshot at the time wasn't favorable to Sinder. It's actually more so that a lot of point of view was actually pointing out a third person in between them called Redacted, or Red for short. And he is actually the manager for Sinder, and for some reason a lot of people starts coming out and say that Red and Sinder are actually in a relationship, meaning to say they are boyfriend and girlfriend. Unless they are married, then that's a whole new different story, but let's intend on having a relationship. Now, it's really kind of interesting that this manager, Red, actually going as far as trying to get Nero-san to be Sinder exclusive artist. And to be honest, we have to understand from one point of view now, why do some people want to have exclusive artists? It's not really wrong for artists to draw art for other people. In a way, it is to broaden their point of view, their artwork, their style, and it's actually much better to help spread them. Let them be famous, so that in future you can probably say that that famous artist is the one who draw your art. But on the other hand, there are also some company or even people, let's say VTubers, wish to have their own exclusive artist, someone who only draw for them. And more so is that they also are being paid such as basic wages or salary, and that's what they should be done. Because it's like if anyone who go and check like even like game theories, they have like their own group of video editor. Yeah, you really kind of see my point is that there are some people who wish to keep the talent for themselves so that they can have like the privilege right to them. But to some other people, the word freedom does go a long way. Giving them the freedom to do what they want, doing video editing for others, or doing artwork for others, or even creating models for others, it helps to broaden their skill and make them grow, and that is a good thing. But on the other hand, if you keep them for yourself, you don't really need to worry about like finding an artist, because sometimes when your own artist is actually drawing art for others, as mentioned, they probably wouldn't have the time or priority to do yours if you are actually very kind to give them let them do their own stuff first. So when that actually happens, sometimes your schedule may go out of whack. So the best thing is you have to hire someone else, or maybe you have to double the amount to bring your priority forward. Now that being said, it can also be both sides have their pro and con, but the thing is, why does this matter? Well, the most important thing that at the end of the day is that manager Red actually stepped in to try to manipulate and gaslight, and as well as bullying in some form, to force Nero-san to stay with them. If you kind of like explain that you're giving them money, it's fine, but in the document, just to give you guys a summary, is that it actually involves some other famous indie VTubers such as Shylily, Bao The Whale, or even Silvervale. There's a few more others that I wish not to talk about too much, but you get the picture. Now, why does they all actually matter? Well, the thing is, it's actually very simple. Nero-san actually did some of their so-called sketch or work for them, as well as a few others. And when you consider Nero-san actually have a whole lot of VTuber babies, or in the most simple word, VTuber model that she draw. So basically, when you kind of consider that as the main point of view, you can understand that out of nowhere, when she was doing the model or doing the artwork for others, and out of nowhere, manager Ray stepped in and said that no, you shouldn't be doing the artwork, you should actually blacklist them, you don't do the artwork for them. And then like, no, you know what, since you want work, you want money, I'm giving it to you. Wow, what a way to guilt trip people. Trigger warning, that's your name. So the thing is, when you actually go as far as to say that, hey, you don't do artwork for others, we're paying you, that's a form of manipulation and gaslighting. And mostly is that based on the document that was provided, there is actually this court evidence to indicate that manager Ray actually go as far as stating some of the VTuber are actually who they wish to have their art model retarded, interestingly, or in a case which the Nero-san cut tie with them instead. And the three of them are actually the three main focus to be called out for. And even when two of the three actually do take Sinder as their friend, like Shylily, well known for not having drama put in, we always, despite all the controversy against her or sometimes involve her, she always tried to get uninvolved from it. And in this case, she coming with a steel chair jumping off the top rope in the WWE ring and slamming against Sinder. The statement, to be exact. So the thing is, right, they do come out with their own statement indicating the disappointment, as well as that more so is that for Bao-san, it was really hard for me to watch the video, considering that the distress, the frustration, the upset that she's suffering from the break of trust. Yeah, you really kind of understand that why that, I don't know, right, that the person that you thought that you are best friend with, someone that you thought you can in conflict with, someone that you thought is like you can trust in, and I don't know, right, you turn out that the person is actually using you as a stepping stone and backstab you without a notice or a moment or something along the line. Yeah, even I will be very upset, okay? So when you kind of consider all these things, it's really kind of like understandable that why Bao and Shylily can be very upset or even frustrated over this whole dang thing. And I can't really blame them for that, considering that the statement they came out also do prove that there is a few things that seems to be that do in line with Nero-san document, as well as very damning against Sinder. Now, that doesn't mean that it all ends there. There is quite a lot of other documents that came out. Like even like Silvervale came out saying that Sinder had been harassing her apparently, as well as that using one of her friend to try to bring Sinder herself too close to Silvervale. So when you kind of like consider that, oh no way, oh I get close to Silvervale, now I'm gonna throw you away because I don't need you anymore. Yeah, I think that is a very, very obvious on what kind of person that is. And more so, it's not only, it's really like when you look at all the evidence, it's really heavily stacked against one side. And yet we haven't even talked to the other side of the coin yet. So what makes it even more ridiculous is that I don't know where her past life come back to haunt her. And this is one of the reasons why some people need to understand that do past life matter? Sometimes it matters, and more so is that this involve the word cheating. Now, Ray is a ASMR content creator who is well known for using a voice. But the thing is, right, Sinder herself was also an ASMR creator herself before she known as Sinder, considering that her previous was Tashi or Tashi Talk MP4. Now, the document came out that actually paint Ray-san himself actually not very in a good light, as well as in the worst light. And I mean, like, the word cheating do elaborate a lot. I don't need to explain too much, do I? But then again, for those people who can't catch the hint, it's actually very simple. Sinder or Tashi-san at the time did Ray behind Red manager Red back, as well as that at the time the way they collab or they try to go on a date or whatever you want to call it, or going in a secret relationship apparently. And in a way it seems that from Ray's point of view is that Sinder was trying to bring her frame out so that she can get more exposure, get more point of view, I mean viewers, sorry, as well as that once she reached to the point and then she rebranded herself as Sinder, she just ghosted him. Like even when there is like evidence indicating from Ray's son indicating that they do get in touch, but out of nowhere he just ghosted him along the line. There is no more talk or whatever. So when you kind of consider all these things, that all this happened 4 to 5 years ago, obviously people will be saying like, hey, maybe Sinder's son actually changed for the better, who knows? Apparently not. Because if 4 or 5 years ago she is a person who is cheating or a person who is really manipulating people along the line, obviously people will stand to believe that Nero-san was actually someone who seems to be saying that, hey, if Sinder had did this kind of sort of thing in the past 4 or 5 years ago, then you can't really say that a person had changed, because at this point of time it just means that the leopard never changed its spot. So again, she could be a manipulator as well again 4 or 5 years later. Now it's really kind of like make it even more sadder is that the statement came out from Sinder doesn't even help, and more so is in many ways, at which I will have to point that out. Now when she came out with the word or the statement, my apology, you will have to understand one thing is that she doesn't apologize right off the bat, considering that a lot of people was holding one fire torch at one hand and then a forklift on the other hand. People are out for blood apparently. So when you have that part of situation on many audience, I mean like legit, some people even burn their Sinder merchandise, alright? Imagine that people just burning their merchandise just all the for sake of it. Yeah, it doesn't even look good. So when you kind of consider all these things happen, obviously you have to understand one thing. You apologize first. You don't give your point of view, you don't give story, you don't give like what actually happened. Or even in the worst case possible, fire the manager. Yes, in fact, firing the manager is the manager rate is actually one of the worst possible way, because people will take it that you are just cutting loose on who actually drag you down the dead way, or just because that the person is actually the focus of the center of attention, and out of nowhere you want to cut your tie with it. Well, I guess that your relationship really is that thin. Now that being said, it's really kind of like look very bad that she should actually apologize first before giving her point of view. And at the same time, a lot of people was thinking that when she say the whole damn thing for 3-4 pages, obviously people are going to be even more pissed off. People aren't going to read your story. People are just going to look at your apology. So when you kind of like look at the story, in a way, a lot of people just say that number one, she's trying to shift the blame. Number two, she's not trying to hold any accountability or responsibility. And number three, she don't want to showcase that she is going to improve for the better. She would just say that, oh, I will try to be better, or trying to say that, oh, it's not my fault. What the hell? So obviously when you kind of like consider that all these point of view, it does not look good on her. And if I have to say that the skill is like, if we put her statement on the skill that is already heavily stacked against her, the evidence kind of like flopped to the other side, and then became that statement is now backfire on her. More so is that when you have even like the two-person coming out, Shylily with her statement that indicating that continue to manipulate and gaslight is absolute insanity, as well as that you didn't know a single thing when she seemed to be knowing aware of it, as well as that the one that doing all these things is your boyfriend, the manager Ray. And it's really kind of interesting that, well, in terms of like that Sinder may be considered the employer and manager Ray is the employee, regardless of how you think about it, if you're in a leader-like position, you are responsible for any mistake that your employee or subordinate do. If they make a mistake, you're responsible for it. You have to hold some sort of accountability and then give out what change do you want to do, which again, like I mentioned, she failed to highlight. So when you have that situation, it really does not look good. But at the same time, you're considering that all this situation, that a lot of people actually also pointed out that Red was the one that seems to be seemingly to represent Sinder. And more so in one interesting way is that from what I actually do see is that a lot of people start saying that there is no screenshot from Sinder. Not trying to defend her, I have to highlight that point, but I can understand if she actually came out and said that they do talk face to face instead of like messaging. Because the thing is, right, if they are boyfriend and girlfriend, regardless of whether they are living in the same place or regardless of whatsoever, it could be very likely that they could be living in the same space or in the same house along that line, and that they are actually discussing Vtuber face to face, not text messaging. I mean, like, if you're telling me that you are in a relationship and that going out on a day, living in the same place, and your life is basically messaging to each other despite you guys can just talk face to face, I think you guys need to go for a relationship counseling at this point of time. Truthfully, it will help you a long way, okay? Because the thing is, right, you can't be telling me that if they are in a relationship, they aren't going to talk to each other face to face. And more so is that I can understand from this point of view is that if there is no evidence from Sinder, the interaction between her and the manager Ray, I think it's fair to at least take the possibility that maybe they're just talking face to face in terms of VTuber stuff. But that do not undermine that they could be scheming behind the scene. So that being said, you considering that when she also highlight the word she doesn't know, there's also people speculating that the statement could have been written by manager Red as a last ditch effort, that telling Sinder to throw him under the bus. Who knows? But when you have things indicating that she doesn't know, a lot of people highlighting that how could you not know? They show model from Narrow the previous time, they have interaction indicating like with evidence along that line. So obviously when you have that situation, there is a lot of viewers will always there's one thing, as what Poma Ben say, disappointed. So when you have that kind of situation, obviously that not just because the manager Red did everything for her sake, but actually she just seemed to want to avoid all these things. She's trying to do some sort of damage control but end up doing nothing but adding fuel to the fire. So obviously it does not look good on her, and more so that a lot of situations just doesn't sit well. And again, I mentioned that all these things is just only based on one point of view. Now, the second point of view that I have to highlight, and actually interestingly that there are some people not defending what Sinder did, but at the same time a kind of like indication that all these things could have, as actually highlighted in the most simple way, is that this would not have been public. Is it that because that Cinder should actually not be called out? That's kind of like debatable. When you have a bad faith person in the community, obviously you want to call them out. You want to get them to be called out by everyone so that it will be in what many people would say that they are as what you might not seen. Now that is also one point of view, and more so is that when you seen the word that is very seemingly very convenient, considering that a lot of people came out with their statement one by one and all stacked against Cinder. Yeah, you can also kind of understand that from that point of view that maybe, just maybe, it's that all these things is just to bring Cinder down. More so ever is that Shylily is also a co-owner with Cinder in something on called the Gamer Sub. So when you kind of like consider that situation, that maybe Shylily just want to have that kind of point of that all the full ownership, or maybe because she was Shylily was actually very mad about that when she was introducing the promotion of Vtuber card out of nowhere that Cinder do her live stream, even though they agree that Cinder will not do a live stream on that time. Yeah, it's probably that when you got all this situation, it does not look good on her, right? So obviously it may seem that in another way to out a person, you throw all the skeleton in the closet out. I mean, like, true, I can see from that point of view, but when you're considering the evidence from one side seems to be stacking heavily against them, you can't really say that is it that the person is really kind of like in the fault. I mean, like, from Shylily and the other side of point of view, it seems like document seems to be heavily favoring them and not showing the full picture, because there are actually a few people, not all, but just a few handful only, that wishing to have an understanding of the full Discord so they can look into it themselves. But when you consider that all these situations seem to, again, I mentioned heavily stacked against Cinder, we can't rule out the possibility maybe they are all trying to out her. And at this point of view, maybe she is a victim in a way, but at the same time she could be a manipulator disguising as a victim, because you can't really like deny all the fault that she had did. And even if she is not the one behind it, the one who represent her, the managerate, do hold the whole damn key. So in a way, if she didn't put a leash on him, the fault still have to be there, regardless of how you guys think. Now, at the end of the day, it's really kind of one of the things that we have to look into it. Like, will she came back as Cinder, or will she actually be gone for good? Or will she rebrand herself under a new voice, under a new model? Well, to be frankly, like admitting the truth, I actually think that the best way is actually instead of like hiding behind rebranding herself or escape from the VTuber scene, if she really admit that she changed for the better, that she is becoming a better person herself, then the best thing to do is come back as Cinder, admit to all the fault, and then change for the better. Even if the growth is going to be slow, even that the audience is going to be lesser, if she do admit it and change for the better, then I think that is still what we have to admit, a second chance. And she have to go and privately talk to everyone that she had wrong, apologize to them with full sincerity and heart, as well as to do better for them instead of trying to make use better of them. Alright, at the end of the day, it's really one of the things that we have to understand, that it's really sad that this kind of thing happen within the VTuber scene. Mostly is within the indie VTuber scene. They do have quite a lot of followers and viewers, so having this kind of thing happen, it is really sad. But again, another point of view, that if she do come back, is it better? Because if she do come back as a rebrander, people are gonna know that it's her sooner or later. And if she do escape, that would be considered what many people say good return. And if she really want to be back and really prove her worth and that her sincerity, do come back as Cinder, that would be better. As well as that there will be people willing to forgive her, but at the same time, people need to also understand that if you do wrong, doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. Look at some other streamer who actually start out badly, end up changing, having their own audience now. And if better people such as Logan Paul or some other people along the line can still have an audience themselves, why not? Maybe some people might even follow her just for the sake of it. But at the end of the day, it's just my speculation thought, it's just a random chat. Whether you agree, disagree, whether you have a point of view, do you think that Sinder should come back or she should actually be gone? Or maybe you think that everything that she did was wrong, or maybe she is just the victim, or everything seems to be too convenient along the line. Who knows? Write in the comment section below, we can discuss it further. If not, if you do like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe for more random chat where I talk about stuff that sometimes makes sense, doesn't make sense, or random at time. But the one thing I hope is not random for you guys, and hopefully don't go and start attacking anyone, is have a nice day or night. Bye.